We're live now, I'm pretty sure. What up, Gorilla?
Gorilla. There is a rap artist named Gorilla.
Gorilla.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry, it's not. Rap is not exactly my scene.
It's not? I'm surprised.
I know. I like some rap, but like I might go see like NF in concert, but to be honest, I like much heavier music. I actually should send you
like
Joseph.
acapella.
Yeah, like acapella. Joseph, have you ever heard of the band Sleeping Giant?
Yes, David. What am I? An uncultured swine?
Okay, I wasn't sure because I was talking to this girl today that I work with,
excuse me, Glorilla is her name, not Gorilla.
Glorilla. Hey, Victor. An 8.5.
Definitely listens to Glorilla.
All
right, Gorilla. We're gonna have to have some talk now.
Bro.
We're gonna have to take you to timeout and give you a talking. If you gave that episode an 8.5. No, I'm joking.
I'll say this. There was stuff that I thought worked, and then there's a lot of twiddling your thumbs.
Yes, spinning wheels.
But we'll get into it. But yeah, I was talking to her today, and it's funny. You know, she's a Christian, and we talk on and off about stuff when work permits. And I was like, I'm gonna have to send you some of the music, some of like the stuff that I like Christian bands I like. And she goes, yeah, and I was like, yeah. I was like, you ever heard of Maylene and the Sons of Disaster? And she just looks at me like, what? But I sent her. I thought Sleeping Giant would at least be a.
That's a good entry point.
I think it's a good entry point. I love them. I was listening to them. I had to
They're
go.
A gateway,
They're a gateway to that kind of music for sure. And it's really good. It's been a while since I've listened to them. It was like on and off, and then like I started following this Instagram page called Kingdom Core.
Yep.
And he's like constantly posting like old stuff, and my a buddy of mine who I actually saw in concert, he's in a new band because the Chariot doesn't exist anymore, but he was the guitarist for the Chariot for
because he was a wee lad.
Yeah, since we graduated from high school. Because like their first album came out, and he was the one that introduced me to them, and like Norma Jean and a couple other bands that were in that genre. He is legend, and then we like graduated from high school, and he's like a savant on the guitar. It's ridiculous. Like since we were kids, he's been able to like he'll listen to a song and he could just start playing the song on guitar without like any sort of
nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he's been in a couple bands since then, and the one he's in now, he's on tour. He's doing like a pretty big tour. Like they've been all over the country. They were in Charlotte, North Carolina not too long ago. That's where I saw him, and they're headed overseas, and there's this I don't really care for her music all that much. Her name's Poppy. You know who I'm talking about?
Yep.
So
I have no idea. I'm about to look her up.
So she used to do a lot of pop music. You know, the name's ironic, I guess. Very like, soft vocals and the whole world.
Hey, not to interject here.
Gorilla's
calling me right now.
Who is?
Patrick Manarovich.
Why is Patrick calling you right now? You just need to answer the phone and be like, we are recording. Why are you?
Like, hey, Patrick, talk to everybody on our podcast.
Yeah, Gorilla Poppy she is kind of weird. But she decided to go more metal with her music.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the reason why. So they met through a producer or something like that, and he went in and was like playing some music for her, and she liked it so much that he started writing a lot of her new stuff, which is like better. She's kind of whatever to me. Like, it's just not really my thing.
Right.
But her newer stuff is quite a bit better than the old stuff. And he's like,
you should do a collab with Poppy, the drink.
he's like, so it's kind of cool. Like, he's so like, he almost looks like because he's like our age, and he's almost like a proud father when he talks about it, and I just thought it was really cool. So his band did their set, and then he did one song with her, and I haven't seen him in like 15 years. And he didn't know that we were coming to the show. And so he like came to he was like, hey, meet me in by the merch. And so we were like back there, and he like comes out, and dude, he was like about to cry, like, cause it's been so long, and it's like a whole, I'm not going to get
when
into.
He first saw you?
Yeah. Cause it was me, and then, one of our other friends, and we all knew each other growing up. So it was cool. Very like, yeah, very, nostalgic. So anyway, I don't even know why we were talking about that, but hello everyone.
Oh, I forgot what led us there. Gorilla, were you keeping track?
Yeah, I don't remember. We just go down rabbit. It's
we need an alarm that sounds off that when we go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, right. Now it's fun. Why else would anybody be here?
Bring it back.
But so, all right, Joseph, do you want to do discussion about the episode, or do you want to do the continued top 100 David's top 100 must watch list first?
Oh no, let's just talk about the episode.
Okay.
No, let's talk about your list.
Do you want to do the list first?
Which would go longer? Do you think us talking about the episode would go longer, or do you think the list?
It just kind of depends, man.
Let's talk about the episode. That's what the good people are here for.
That's true. That's what they're here for. Let's give the people what they want. So do you want? So here's what I'll say, and then I'll kind of let you get into it. I think for me, and this was a similar problem that I had with season 1, except it is kind of reversed because I at this point, everyone who listens to this is probably aware that I hate the second game. I've been trying to get through a second playthrough on stream for 2 years. I should go back and see when that first stream was. So I'm not exact. It's a weird thing for me because I know what's happening. Like, I know all the the story beats. I know what's going to happen. Like, you know how the opening of the episode, and I'll okay, so this will be somewhat of a warning. Light spoilers. I'm not going to, there's a lot that's probably going to happen this season. So we'll talk about it episode by episode. So I'll try to do my best, at least until the season's over, to not talk too much other than stuff that everybody already knows.
Right.
I'll try to keep it relatively light on spoilers, but the opening of the episode, which I'll say, I'll say that the opening is fine. It's weird to see because the girl that's playing Abby,
yep,
is literally, I mean, they could not have, as far as her aesthetic and what they were going for in like the design in the game versus how they decided to go in the show, it's polar opposites.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
and
that's because the actress wouldn't take antibiotic steroids.
Yeah, right.
The only way she's getting that big is by taking steroids.
I will say that I actually think, at least for now, we'll get to the scene that comes after this one. because I think it is like the one that's directly after this, or like right after the credits, the opening credits. I was fine with the opening. I was like, this is the opening that they probably should have done for the game. It's much more engaging, and because that never happens in the game. That like, and I was saving this for the show. I was like, maybe I'll text him and tell him this, but I was like, let's just save it for the show. They've deviated quite a bit already in this first episode from the game. Now, there are a few beats in the episode that are in the game, but if you're talking the actual timeline in the game of where it starts and you're playing through and then the way that events play out, there are certain events in this first episode that are 10 to 20 hours. Well, I can't remember how long the actual game is. I want to say it's more than 20 hours, but like 10 to 20 hours into the game.
Yeah, they're reorganizing it because of whoever the showrunner is probably just better at writing than Neil is.
Well, it's linear, which is the way it should have been, versus the way they did it in the game, where you find out certain things like way later on, and it's weird to have done it that way. Whereas the way they're doing this, I'm like, I'm like, okay, at the very least, someone understands that you need to kind of go beat by beat. Now, I am still curious because Joseph, like the big thing that everyone is aware of, the very divisive thing that completely fractured this franchise, technically should be happening in the next episode.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to do it, the next episode or the episode after that, or if they're going to drag it out to the end of the season. Because, dude, there ain't no way when that happens that they're going to lose at minimum half their audience. Because it's not a situation. I'm trying to tread carefully here.
Yeah.
And other popular shows that we've watched that happened in a season 1 episode. You know the guy that plays Boromir?
Yeah.
In Lord of the Rings? Yeah. In the show that he played?
Yeah.
It's not like a situation like that to where, with what happened with him in that show, that audience retention is there, right? People are going to want to come back. Oh, wow, this was crazy. Because there's other character setting, like there's more to it than just this one guy leading the charge of the entire show.
I don't know,
man. I think they're gonna lose a significant portion of their audience.
I'll say though,
depending on how it goes about, because I was thinking it really just depends on if they tell a story that is more logical and understanding with it.
I'm curious. That's what I'm curious about. Like, I'm very curious about the deviations.
She gets her revenge, and then someone else gets their revenge on her.
And they're not going to do it. They won't kill Abby. It's not a chance. But I don't know. I mean, I can't remember if we talked about it with the last time we talked about Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann. But they're not even sure they're ever going to make a third game. And I think,
I mean, why would they? The game sold. What was it like in the first month? The second game sold like $4 million or whatnot. In the first month? I can't remember.
It was like
dollars, right?
It did. So, the numbers.
But I think year to date, it's only 10 million.
The drop off was really, really hard. And that game cost a lot of money, and so much time has passed, and so many people have really come around to how bad the second game is on a storytelling level. The gameplay is nothing to be. It's weird that there are some people who think the gameplay in the second one is just like this. Now, I'm not saying like people aren't like, oh, it's I always call it serviceable. That's kind of the term that I use because it works to a degree for what they're trying to do. And I've said this before plenty of times. The problem is when you start playing on harder difficulties, the gameplay and the game design fall apart the more you ramp up the difficulty in those games. To a level of
I actually remember
Yeah.
with you playing, watching you play.
To a level of it almost being unplayable. Like there was I beat this year, actually, it's a couple months ago, towards the beginning of the year. I know it's weird, right? I played
I know.
through the first game on grounded, which is the highest difficulty, and that game will soft lock you very often the more you go through it on that difficulty. And it's not like, it's still supposed to be fun, and it's not fun on those difficulties. It's like beating your head against a wall. So all of that to be to be said, I've been curious about the direction of the show and like what's going to happen, because they have to do a second season, because 2 seasons is kind of weird for something that was so popular for the first season. But also I haven't heard anybody talking about this show.
Yeah,
So
I haven't really heard it.
I'm curious.
I think
yeah.
for me, one of the things that I noticed right off the rip, not being as familiar with the games as you are, but
Sure.
comparing this episode 1 to episode 1 of season 1, and there's a stark difference.
Yeah,
it's a night and day.
Yeah.
The hook is not there.
Well,
it's just like, to me, that there's a lot of problems with episode 1, and I'm trying to judge this, unbiasedly
right.
as possible, in the sense that, as you said earlier, starting off, it just kind of meanders. There's moments where I seem that are engaging, other moments that's not. And the more I thought about the episode, the worse it became in my mind. Like, for instance, one of the things that, there's a few, but that come to my mind, but the main one being is when first, it's Ellie gets her way with going on patrol, and then
which is not the drama. It's kind of, well, from my perspective, right? It's manufactured drama.
Yes.
Because what Ellie was, someone can correct me if I'm slightly off on this, but like Ellie was just allowed to go on patrol. She's like 19 at this point, and that community is everyone like chips in, right? And one of her responsibilities, one of her responsibilities, it just makes me roll my eyes, dude. There's some dialogue in the episode that is just like, it's so bad, dude.
I wonder what this is an allegory for.
Yeah.
The refugee part.
Oh, Caitlin Danvers, who plays Abby. Yeah, I like her already to a degree. Like, she's a good actress anyway. So like I said, it's going to be really interesting for me to watch this with what they're doing. I just think the writing's going to end up hurting it in the end, because they're probably not going to change the ending. They're not going to change the motivations to a degree. And they're also probably going to show Joel in a worse light than the games ever did. So it's, I'm curious. Game Ellie's more mature. Show Ellie's a brat. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But one of the problems I had was, so she gets to go on patrol, and before they head out, I can't remember his name, but the Asian dude is like, please listen to Captain. Everyone looks up to you both. And I'm like, why? Like, why do they? I'm like, if anything, it would seem like nobody likes them. Everything I've been shown, especially Ellie, that no one seems to like her. But then they go out on patrol. Then she doesn't listen. Then they go into town. They see that the clickers, the cordyceps, the zombies have mauled a gorilla. And then the captain and everyone, with them, it allows them to go into a whole supermarket by themselves It's just, and then even with that, even how that whole thing played out with the clickers to me now seem like less of a threat. I think that what they were trying to go for is showing how far Ellie has come along and that she can take down clickers, but in the way and manner it happened and kind of the whole setup, I don't know, it seems implausible to me because when I was watching it, it's like, man, I feel like this thing in season 1 would have hurt her.
Yeah, well, she steps to like directly on that glass bottle too.
Yeah, so
I guess that was a little. No, yeah, that was
it. Like I get you kind of get the built up of her being able to do things in season 1, and I can't remember if she took down a clicker on her own, but it seemed to undermine the danger that the zombies pose.
Well, it did. Well, it was mixed for me because I actually liked what they did with the stalkers quite a bit. Because that's what it's pretty accurate to the game that they like.
Yeah, the stalkers I'm fine with.
They mess with you. Yeah. Well, it's like
it seemed like to undermine the threat of them.
Yeah, it's like remember the clickers. Well, and in this where they're at right now, and in kind of like in-game universe, that's there. Most of that stuff isn't really a threat, and then the horde thing that's coming. That they were kind of hinting at.
Dumb.
It is dumb because it's not.
It should be like a life and death. Like, hey, this isn't like 70% chance this is not going to go well for me if I run into a clicker or one of these things at all. Like they should be
exactly.
I don't want. I get the feeling this is going to turn into The Walking Dead, to where the zombies don't matter. And the humans are the real monsters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's.
But anyway, you're talking about the horde.
Yeah, they're gonna do it. Yeah, that's because that's like the only thing Hollywood knows how to do with zombies anymore. Is like the zombies aren't the real threat. It's the humans, and it's so boring. Humans can be a threat in that, but like it being, hey, see what we're doing? It's like, ugh, dude, makes me want to just like makes me roll my eyes. Yeah, so that's to play an important role, and it's annoying because it was always a problem in universe because that wasn't a thing until it needed to be in to like essentially move the plot forward, right? You don't
right.
Even in season 1. And they could have attempted to set it up in season 1, but there's not enough like foresight for this kind of stuff, and it's because it was never written this way to begin with. The whole horde thing's not a thing in The Last of Us. It is a specific moment in the second game in order to allow the events that lead up to that moment to happen. And more than likely, and you keep an eye on this, okay, when we're watching the next couple of episodes, depending on how they play that out, because I could see them skipping around to a couple flashback episodes, and the events that are going to lead up to the big moment, the really, really divisive moment, everyone is going to make a lot of really stupid decisions that make no sense for the environment and the environment and the setting of that world.
Right.
Some stuff like Joel's going to do some stuff that is just like Joel and Tommy, if they play it out the same, they're both going to do some things that are so out of character and so stupid. And they've kind of set up, I will say that the show has kind of set up that community to be a little bit different, but it still doesn't take away from the character of Joel, whether we're talking the game or the show. And Gorilla, that would be funny. Don't read his comment, Joseph.
I already do.
No, yeah, I know you know what happens, but don't say it out loud.
Don't read it out loud.
Yeah. But they're all going to do that. Ellie's going to do it. I think Dina is as well. There's just a bunch of stuff that happens that leads up to that doesn't make any sense. But we should talk about that little fight with Ellie and the freaking mountain. where she single-handedly taps out a dude that's got to be 4 times her size.
Dang. Oh yeah, you talking about
in the show,
the episode?
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
dude.
Oh my
man,
god,
dude,
it was
that dude
so
was big
bad.
enough.
Hey,
I mean, I would have been big enough. You
oh,
would have
I've
been
got to
big
hang
enough,
on.
but that dude was definitely big enough to.
Let me see if I can
number
pull
one, she didn't even lock in the triangle. First off,
No, she
was trying
didn't.
to
It
go for
looked
a triangle.
awful.
Yeah, horrible. Number two,
It looked like she was wrapped around his
her
arm.
armbar attempt was also terrible as well. I get that it's television, but you could have set that up to make that look at least a little bit more believable.
Anyone with an hour of training could figure out how to do that.
Dude, and it's not that he not only pulled his punch, right? He should have also said, I pulled everything. Because I could have rampaged Jackson.
Dude, that's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting for.
Hardcore MMA fans know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It was so, I thought that's what was going to happen, and then it didn't, and I was like, oh no, Wait, am I on the wrong account? Ah, crap, I'm on the wrong account. I saved it to a different one. Oh, wait, here we go. I think I can, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this up.
It's just, that part was a bit ridiculous, and then her being surprised that he pulled his punch, I'm like, girl, this dude is literally 2 times bigger than you. You should automatically assume and know that he's doing that. So, I mean, I just think.
Yeah, it was.
That was.
It was so stupid. I think
the main primary issue with episode 1 is the writing of both Joel and Bella, but primarily, Joel and Ellie. But primarily Ellie's writing and how insufferable they have made her. I know they're going for that obnoxious teen. Oh, she's a teenager. She's a girl teenager, and every girl has problems like this with her father, which I disagree with. Just a trope, but in any sense,
so
it's mainly just doing too much, like overfilling the cup of her being an obnoxious teenager. That doesn't need to be her only characteristic.
Agreed, and I don't know why they're diving so hard into that.
And the leading one at that. So
I'm pulling up the fight.
Oh, I was just like, and that's not even an armbar, bro.
Dude, let's see if I can.
That ain't choking out anybody. That isn't even choking out a toddler. Now that Kimura attempt was better. That makes sense. I've been tapping all day with that.
Okay, I think I've got
the ending part makes sense, but
the
I don't
problem.
know if anybody's ever been put in a Kimura, which is what that is.
I think I have. It's been a while.
That freaking hurts. Let me tell you.
So I think this is what you're talking about right here. Can you see this?
Yeah,
I can't play a ton of this because I don't want HBO to get onto us for this. But she's got him he basically her legs are wrapped around to hit the back of his neck. He would in the position that they're in, he would still have enough leverage to basically sit up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And get all the way up. And that's what I was expecting to happen that whole time, was he was going to do that and he was just going to slam her down on the ground. But he doesn't.
That's what I was expecting as well.
It's really funny because there's this video that was literally right after that. Crap. No, don't play the music. Golly. People got to stop putting music in these videos. Don't put copyright music in your videos, people. So this was right after that, which I thought was so funny. So you can see this practice roll that these two people are doing, and this guy just picks her up off the ground.
Yeah,
that's no effort whatsoever. And
granted, she's not. It doesn't. If I'm wrong here, it really doesn't seem like she's pulling hard on him.
I don't think it would matter.
But granted, he would still. I mean, when you get an arm, it's hard. But regardless of size,
she's pretty small though, and so is Bella Ramsey. We're not even talking about someone who's.
But in Bella Ramsey's situation, what they should have done is, if they want to do that, okay, she gets in a bad a triangle attempt, and then he's going to raise to pick her up, and then she with her arm hooks his leg.
Yeah.
Now, still, he probably wouldn't be able to break that because he's again
The
2 to
strength.
3 times her size.
The strength. Yeah.
But if she would have like latched on somehow to have a hook into his leg, because that's what you do when someone goes to pick you up, because it happens to guys as well that are in the same weight class, fighting in the same division, fighting the same match, right? And that's what they do is they hook the leg with their arm so that they can't get picked up.
Right.
But
Can I say something else though?
yeah. But I watched that video that you saw
when did
well, and I was like, it didn't seem like that chick was really pulling on his arm to get him.
Maybe so. When did? So it's like, okay, so man, my timeline's a little messed up for this. I wonder if I have my notes. The outbreak happens in 2000. I want to say 5, but I'm wondering if I'm slightly wrong about that. I'm going to look it up. I have like a ton of notes about this. Because this isn't the first time I've had to explain to people like the problems with this show. Like, dude, MMA and grappling, it's not even a part of that world. And I don't know the likelihood, like statistically, the likelihood of them running, like, anyone being around that could actually teach that. Like, the show, this is something that happens quite a bit. The show, 2003. Okay, so I was close. The show continues to pretend like the apocalypse didn't happen.
Yes.
So the likelihood of a breakout happening in 2003, and by the time this happens, it's close to, let's see, so 2013, so it's like 2018 roughly in the timeline. Nobody's got enough experience doing that. And it's going to be useless, dude. It's going to be useless in a fight with a human being when you're trying to survive.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make it, like, Ellie carries a knife with her everywhere she goes. It's so weird, man. Like, it doesn't, there's not a lot of logic to them spending the time. Also, doing it in a weird, dirty barn.
It's like they don't know about that staff, do they?
No, it's so much of it. They keep showing Jackson as this.
Maybe she's immune from staph infection.
She's immune, yeah, right. So it's dude. The whole thing
they're not
is
going that deep into it,
but it's annoying because you're watching this and but they should, like, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Is this the? No, this isn't the right. Dude, Google Docs needs a dark mode. It's the most obnoxious thing in the world that it doesn't. I literally am getting blinded right now by my Google Docs.
Within the scene about with the refugee when Joel's like, we can't accept anymore because we're at capacity, seems very logical, right?
Sure.
And then she's like, but Joel, you were a refugee once. And I was like, was he? Wasn't he the brother of Tommy? And
it's like, different.
And then furthermore, we get what you're trying to do, Neil Druckmann. Like, God, way to be on the nose about it, dude.
Dude, it's like, it's so annoying.
It would have been better is if they had a discussion, because like to where you're let the audience decide what's the right view and not, or the right thing to do in this situation, and where they give their viewpoints, rather than either of them committing to saying I'm right or wrong, I'm sorry, or anything like that.
Hey, but
it makes sense when you're in an apocalypse, right? And hey, we only have
resources are finite.
Yeah, resources are finite. Even if you're not in an apocalypse, but specifically resources are finite. So it makes sense,
Yeah, they don't.
So that was just hilarious. Like, that's not propaganda at all.
Yeah, they don't live in a society where they can easily, like, because if there are a lot of people around and you don't have to worry about looters and zombies and all of this other stuff, resources are pretty easy to come by. You can trade with other communities, you can do all this other stuff. That's not the world that they live in. And so, yeah, like they have a certain amount that they have to be able to hunt. They have to be able to make water, and everybody has their responsibilities in the camp and all that.
To sustain that life too.
Yeah. And some of the way Jackson is, the logic behind it is sort of suspicious to me. It just gets a little weird when it's like, I'm going along with this, but I also am not 100% sure you guys would be able to maintain this kind of society in the world that you live in. Someone would have to give me like a really, really convincing argument for that to be totally satisfied, but I'm kind of just going along with it for now.
And can we stop pretending? Like, can the show stop pretending that what Joel did in season 1 was unreasonable in a terrible situation? Like, sometimes
I'm wondering,
you do, sometimes you do everything right and bad things happen and life happens,
dude.
And it's like, it wasn't, it's not even like last year or last season. It's not even that they said, hey, if we do this to Ellie, we're guaranteed to get the vaccine to cure mankind, right? And even then, Joel would still be in the right for wanting to prevent that. So, I mean, every single angle I look at it, I'm like, I just don't see one plausible way to where.
Yeah, people like to forget literally everything about the first game. His daughter dying, his connection to Ellie. The only logical conclusion to the story of The Last of Us is what Joel did, because that's the character that they created. That's the scenario that they set up. There is if you want to call it trauma, you can. He has a certain amount of trauma towards what happened to his daughter, and when faced with losing a daughter again, he basically was like, I will do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen. The Fireflies are terrorists.
Well, they don't, and don't get me wrong, they were murdering her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and it's not like she even had a choice, right? They were going to murder her.
Jackson gated community. That's funny.
Abby's father, everyone there.
They all knew.
They were in. Yep,
yeah, they knew, and they kept Joel and Ellie in the dark in the situation. I see. See me if I'm on the. I think I've got a ton of notes about this.
I'm just trying to piece out where he was wrong for doing what he did.
Oh yeah, I put
maybe
in here.
The people who think that he was wrong for doing what he did, maybe they got the holy poke.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That was one thing I was thinking of during this first episode of them trying to show him being, which I get, like them trying to show him being tortured. Like, I hate that I had to do this type of deal. I'm not saying he should relish in it. I killed all these people, but in my opinion, that's self-defense. Clear-cut case.
Yeah. And there's a lot of little things that and it's one of the things that the first season of the show did well with the character, is that they kept a lot of these moments that show Joel's character, because he is a survivor, and the only thing that breaks him of, you could say, his like code, ultimately is Ellie, right? Because he doesn't do it for Tess, even though he has feelings for her. Henry and Sam, he's willing to kill. Now, the show, I think, plays it out slightly different, if I remember. But Joel's like, in the game, he's like straight up ready to murk that kid, because he's a survivor. It's what he does. But when it comes down to it, like, Ellie is that surrogate, and he was going to do whatever it took. And like we've already stated, like, they didn't tell him the truth about it. And in the game, there's at least one document that you can find that explains that they're not even 100% sure that this is going to work, or that, and it goes back to the same thing with the MMA thing, Joseph. Like, this is 10 or 11 or so, I think it's like 10 years after the outbreak. Your technology hasn't advanced at all. Even if you have a doctor, he probably wasn't old enough to be able to pull something like this off. So you're going off of some huge gambles over the life of this girl. And I think Joel, and the experience that he's had over time and seeing what the world's like, regardless of the idea of a cure for the infection, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to change anything. And it should, at this point, like, it doesn't seem like logic to think that the Fireflies are any kind of altruistic group.
Right.
They are portrayed as terrorists. They are in a power struggle with the major cities in this world. And so even if they created a cure for the infection and everyone was the way that Ellie is, it doesn't stop the fact that there are still lots of infected out there that can rip you to shreds, and that there's a lot of people in different cities in this world that want to kill you and steal everything that you own. That's the world that they live in, regardless of a cure or not. So it's almost a moot, like, it's borderline like a non-point in the story. And because the whole thing's just about their relationship, and the Fireflies get in the way of that, and they get taken out because of it. Yeah. And I guarantee you, none of these points are going to get brought up. There's never going to be a conversation with Ellie and Abby, or Ellie and Joel about this, because it never got written into the game. So, anyway, I guess that's probably my my Last of Us Part 2 rant for today.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just. It was boring episode. Like, I wanted to be in tune with it. It looks good, production value. Great.
Oh, it's
technical aspect great on the technical side.
Yeah,
story wise, it's where it falls apart for me. I'm trying so hard. Like, it's like a story I want to be in tune to. Like, this should be good. There's more to this. There's got to be, but they keep doing everything possible to prevent that from happening for me.
Yeah. I don't think the story's nearly engaging as the first one. It's a weird setup, because I think by the time the first it's like you were saying that the first episode in season 1 is better. It's because I think by the time that first episode ends, you've met Joel, you've met Ellie, you've met Tess, and you have some kind of understanding of the arc of the season, in them trying to take Ellie somewhere, and everything that like unfolds because of that. And this, obviously, like, Abby's out for revenge for Joel. The show hasn't told us why yet. I'm pretty sure
didn't they say that in the episode opening episode? It was because
well, we don't know her specific. I don't think we know her specific motivation yet, as far as the show is concerned.
I thought they said that it was because he killed her father.
Okay, maybe he did. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention.
I wouldn't have blamed you, honestly. That opening scene wasn't very.
It was like, it was a proper scene to open with that is followed by a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter to that. It's kind of a thing where we should have probably gotten more time with Abby in this episode, because they're already doing stuff that never actually happened in the game,
which is something else we don't really need. Like, dude, I'm sorry, you just reminded me that my biggest complaint with this episode, actually, even over the how Ellie's written, was that we don't get that much attention. We don't get that much, that many scenes with Joel. We don't get to spend time with him. And it's like, they're both supposed to be your main two protagonists.
Wow.
Well, and I know, but
Yeah.
I'm still gonna say it's just
There's gonna be
frustrating. It's
there's
like,
gonna be stuff in there, but I'm curious
it's
how
the
much
same
it's
thing
really
like
gonna be.
with The Witcher. It's like clearly people aren't watching this for Bella Ramsey. People aren't watching this for the actress that plays Dina. People aren't watching this for the actor that plays Tommy. People are watching this because of, I mean, yeah, for Ellie, but so I take
Well,
that back
it was the
for about
relate.
Bella, but like for Joel and his relationship with Ellie
Yeah.
and Pedro Pascal. But Pedro Pascal is your star of the show.
Yep.
Like, regardless of everything else behind it, he's the star.
And it's
So he should have the most, generally speaking, screen time,
uh-huh.
just like Henry should have in The Witcher.
Exactly. It's a weird okey doke thing that they always like to do where it kind of starts out that way and then they do the flip. Because you got to remember, The Last of Us Part 2 came out in the middle of all of that. Where you would have like your first season, it would be more focused on the character everyone expected it to be. And then they basically would get the back seat in some regard to the female character. And it was happening over and over and over again. And The Last of Us Part 2 was just another example of that. And yeah, it's Joel. It's so weird, man, because like people have made crazy arguments. Now, say what you will about the show, but people in the past have made crazy arguments about like Joel not being a beloved character and that, you know, he's not that great and blah, 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 blah. And it's just none of that's really true. It's so, the internet's so weird where every once in a while people try to just like, rewrite history with this sort of stuff where you're just like looking at him and you're like, no, that's not what happened. That was not how people felt about this at the time. People have come, the gameplay stuff people have definitely come around on, that it's like much worse than people kind of originally thought. But you know, the game and the story and everything, like there wasn't anything quite like The Last of Us when it came out. And you know, because I say this about God of War Ragnarok quite a bit. You have like mature games because of the kind of like content in the game as far as like the violence or the language or whatever the case may be, right? Like you're kind of your GTA style mature game. But there are also mature games that cover topics that require you to consider things and pay attention. And The Last of Us, the first one, was something kind of new in that space in video games. And Part 2 was the complete opposite of that. You know, it's why Part 1 and there's a lot of people out there that like just weren't really paying attention when they were playing the first game and weren't really considering the motivations of Joel and like the decisions that are being made. And so it's funny to listen to you like talk about this stuff because this was the stuff going on at the time where people are like, why did Joel get put in the back seat? You know? And he got it worse than I think a lot of characters did around that time, you know? Henry Cavill is like still around, you know?
Dude, it's just I just don't know what they're thinking, man, by doing it. It's just frustrating. I think it's more pronounced because of
it's time for
how
him to
they've
step
written
aside,
Ellie in the
Joseph.
show, and I don't think Bella Ramsey is a bad actress or anything like that. I just think it's the writing and how she's being directed.
There's nothing
and written.
engaging about her.
No, I think it's a miscast. I think it's more of a miscast than it is her being a bad actress.
Because I liked her.
I don't want to judge her off of this performance because she was miscast. That's not her fault.
Yeah.
If they would have cast me as Ellie, I would have taken it.
That would have been hilarious. I would have watched I would have been telling people to watch this show. I thought she was like all right in Game of Thrones, for what she was. This like tiny, very loud mouthed girl, you know?
Yeah.
There's something, you know, it's like her size versus the, you know, the way she talks or whatever. I thought it added a bit of like humor, even though those last seasons are not super great. I never really had a problem with her performance in that. So like I agree. I think it is a miscast, and I think you're right. I think some of it definitely isn't on her because, as we are going to see, Ellie's gonna do some stuff that's not gonna be good.
I mean, like, quite truly, what leverage does she have to change anything? She's not that. She doesn't have that kind of star power, so she's just doing what she's told.
Agreed.
And I think people just say, "Oh, she's a crappy actress. Oh, she's this, she's that," because she's been horribly miscast. Agreed. And also her character's been horribly written, but it's not her. It's not her fault. So, I mean, it's just I actually don't think Pedro does a bad job, and I think Pedro's actually doing a good job acting with what he's given. I think his character is not as badly written as Ellie, but still could have been better.
He's also, I think, a bit miscast too, but some of that is because Joel is like very grizzled. Like he's a hard dude. Like this is someone that you absolutely do not mess with. Pedro's too soft for me.
Yeah, soft in the face. He's got them soft eyes.
His physicality to me does not give off the kind of intimidating factor that I think is necessary for that character. Now,
I agree with that. Actually, that's a really good point. I agree with that.
It's not quite right.
I think he's trying. I don't think it's his fault, but I think he's trying.
Sure. But they also have written him to be quite a bit more like sad in, he's.
Who would have been a good actor to play him that you can think of?
Oh, that's tough.
I'm trying to think of somebody who's an older.
I know
Idris Elba, like that's kind of the picture that I get of someone who could pull off that rugged
demeanor wise. Yeah, I agree. But you really, you gotta, bro. That would have been that would have been a little much for me to like. Idris Elba's playing Joel.
I just mean demeanor.
I know you. I know.
Like character wise, like somebody that has the look. I'm trying to think of someone else.
Dude, I don't.
Fits the character description.
I don't know. Maybe the troll room will have an idea.
Yeah, anybody in the troll room, somebody who would have been a good actor to play Joel.
I'm sure there were fan castings around the time. He's too.
I'm joking.
Yeah, he's the right height. He's just his build is wrong. I don't know, man. That's weirdly enough. That is kind of hard. Really, you would just need.
Have you seen that? What's that show that Taylor Sheridan wrote?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And the guy Rip in it.
Yeah.
Kind of
like that. Older, grayer.
Yep.
Yeah, something kind of like that. The actor who played Jaime in Game of Thrones. If he. I would have to actually see him because they would have to change his hair color. He would have to have like the beard with a little bit of gray, and all I can see him as is Jaime Lannister right now because he might be a little. This is gonna sound weird, guys. He might be a little too pretty.
Oh yeah,
because he got cast as
he has pretty eyes.
Well, he got cast as Jaime Lannister because he's handsome. And Joel. It's not that like the character of Joel, you wouldn't consider him to be that way, but he's also grizzled. Like that's where a lot of that comes from. Where Jaime Lannister falls more on the pretty side of the handsome scale. Like he would be considered attractive, I think, for a different reason than someone like Joel would be. Which is funny that like that got mentioned in the show because I'm not sure that's ever mentioned in the games where they were like. Hugh Jackman. They would never have been able to afford the guy, but somebody
Brolin.
like him. Brolin.
I'm kind of more so thinking
Brolin,
like
I
Hugh
mean, man,
Jackman.
I like Josh Brolin a lot. I think if they hit that, I think I could have been on board with that. I think he has enough. He's a excellent actor too. So it's like he's on a different level from like probably anybody that's actually cast in this show.
Maybe that
Um,
dude that played that killed what's his name in The Walking Dead. I know that's snaring it
oh, the
down,
guy,
but
the Negan, the guy that
the
played
bat.
that played
Yeah,
the
what is his name? Like
I can't remember.
Jeffrey Morgan or something like that.
Yeah.
Dean Morgan
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're nailing it with a lot of these characters.
John Hamm
I think
or
Pedro
whatever
got,
that
oh,
guy's
dude,
name.
John Hamm. Like he's another one I'd have to actually see them like put him in the attire, give him the beard and the gray and all of that. The guy that played Negan though, the only problem with doing that is it's too. I think those shows are too similar. I think it would have
Yeah.
bugged me a little bit, you know. But yeah, casting wise, like if we're talking just from like that objective, and I'm trying to look at those things as different. He could have done it too. I think Pedro got cast because he's
Michael
popular,
Fassbender?
or he's Michael Fatton. No,
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
know,
I
I
don't
just
think
like
so.
him as an actor.
Oh, me
He's one
too.
of my
I
favorite
yeah, he
actors.
just doesn't. Nah,
We'll force it.
he doesn't fit. He doesn't have the right build for it.
Yeah.
You need someone. It's like Joel's stocky. Like he's a big dude, but he's a stocky
Yeah.
dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Fassbender's more lean. Like his build's more lean. And it's funny. We're kind of talking about this sort of stuff, but this is the sort of stuff you're supposed to consider when you're trying to get accurate casting for these things.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what is the look? Like what is that thing that is the right casting from the look perspective, and then you're also getting the talent as well. And the thing is like I don't think Pedro Pascal is necessarily a bad actor. It's just like some of these other people we talk about. I'm tired of seeing him in everything.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
Viggo Mortensen, maybe.
Viggo Mortensen.
I could see Viggo potentially doing it.
Yeah, I don't. He's too. He's. I know. So I don't know. I'm. You call it nitpicking if you want. His facial features are too distinct. Joel's like a bit of an everyman. Like he's a Texan, and you know he like worked in construction, and I think he was in the military, or maybe it was just his brother. It was, but you know they have like he's supposed to have this very specific like look to him, and I think Viggo Mortensen is like almost too striking in some of his facial features. I think it would have thrown me off a little bit. It might have worked though. I just don't know who HBO would have been able to hire that they could afford to play that role.
Yeah. They could have done a big swing with Brandon Fraser.
Bro, that would have been
Fraser.
crazy. Brandon Fraser comes back and he does Joel. Everyone loves
I
it.
could see it. I could see it if he got like really in shape and grizzled and they,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah, dude.
But I'm kinda
I
like
want
right
it.
there
I
with,
like
like,
it. I like the
with
fan casting.
yeah, I think Pedro Pascal, I'm right there with you. He's in everything, and it's like, okay.
Ugh, yeah. Every time he gets cast now in something, I'm like, great.
Yeah, I think he's a good actor, though.
Is there
I know other people disagree, but I actually think he's a good actor.
who? Pedro?
Pedro, yeah.
Yeah, people are just tired of seeing him everywhere. They forget like he was good in Game of Thrones. He
Kind of
can.
how I feel with Meryl Streep.
You know Pedro Pascal's in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, you know what? Carl Urban as Joel.
Oh, yep, that's it.
I nailed it.
dude.
HBO, hire
Yeah.
me now. $1
100
million a year.
100% Carl Urban could play Joel, and he's like gained some popularity playing being in The Boys for so long, even though I think that show's kind of nosedived a little bit as far as like people watching it and the popularity, but he's right at that level that he could have been cast for that. Yeah.
HBO just needs to hire me as their, just the everything man, casting, writing, just the no man. Like, no, we're not gonna do this. Just that's what they can call me. That's what my position can be. The no the yes man and the no man, whatever they want to call me, and just pay me $1 million a year. It's me good. I mean,
Just to come up with ideas.
after taxes, $1 million. Whatever the salary has to be, I don't care. I just want after taxes. What hits my bank account after a year is $1 million.
BJ Hemphill said the actor who plays Abby would make a good adult Ellie. I agree. That
I agree.
She definitely makes more sense as Ellie than why is her name slipping my mind? The actress that's playing
Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey, thank you. Yeah, it's.
And I think
definitely
Carl
weird.
Urban is someone they could have afforded.
Carl Urban. That's what I'm saying. Like Carl Urban is definitely right on that level that you could have cast him as Joel. Man, in another life. Listen, The Boys is almost over.
How long did
I just
that take
want
me?
Doom. I want like what 15 minutes of us talking about it and talking about different actors.
And I just nailed it.
You nailed it 100%. But I just want him to go back to playing Dredd now that The Boys is finally wrapping up. Amazon, seriously.
I could be chilling with David Zaslav and be like, who we casting for the show? Let's talk about it. I got my boy David with me.
Do you have anything else specifically about the show that you wanted to talk about for this week?
No.
It's, there's like a couple little like eventful moments, but a lot. Dude, the whole thing with Joel having a therapist is miserable.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it, dude. Oh, it's so miserable.
Like,
and they're just using
use
it.
this?
Yeah, they're just going to use it as like a narrative like mechanism for Joel to be able to like talk about certain things. And it feels so lazy. Like, let's just have Joel sit in a room and talk to his therapist. Like, please. Like, get that out of here.
Who doesn't like him and this and that. Like, I get it's the apocalypse and you're probably
I'm going to. Yeah.
But it doesn't seem within Joel's character. And I get
Who
you're
is
growth.
At this point in the apocalypse, who is practicing therapy? Who? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing? All right. I think that was the only other thing I had to say about. I think I hit all of my bullet points. Okay. Let's end the show. I like doing this. Let's end the show on a brighter note. We almost need like some sort of theme song for this, Joseph. Now, as many of you already know, I have created a list. It's not quite done yet. I still have, I think 28 more movies that I got to put on the list. I'm pretty sure it's 28. I have created a list of the top 100 must-watch movies for your normie friends, meaning this is stuff that may not be what like the most artist of artist movies, but what I would say is that this is a list of very influential movies that everyone should be able to check off their list of things. It's a good launching pad into a lot of other things. Yeah. So Joseph has basically the way this works is that either if we have a guest or if it's just Joseph, he just gives me a number, and I tell him about the movie on the list. And if he's seen it, then there's a tiny discussion about it depending on what movie it is. So Joseph, let's just do one tonight. One because I lost. The reason we didn't record last week is because I lost my voice. And if you're listening, it'll crack occasionally still. Like it still hasn't fully recovered.
Hooting and hollering.
Yeah. Yeehaw. Yee. All right, Joseph, give me a number 1 through 72 because that's as far as I've gotten.
Let's do 9.
Number 9. Number 9 is my favorite martial arts movie of all time.
Oh, Enter the Fist, the
no.
I'm talking about the comedy kung fu movie.
Classic, not it. This is a movie that inspired season 1 of
Karate Kid.
No, this inspired the famous hallway fight in season 1 of Daredevil. It is. It was directed by Gareth Evans, who hang on. Let's.
You gotta give me another hint.
Yeah, Gareth
Your
Evans.
favorite martial arts movie.
Oh, he hasn't done. Really, that's all he's done.
Movie, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'm drawing blanks right now.
It is a movie that came out and is very similar to another movie that may or may not be on this list. I don't think we've talked about it yet. About a group of criminals held up in a apartment complex, and our hero must fight his way out of the situation. The Raid Redemption, which came out in 2011, directed by Gareth Evans. This I can't. I must have rented this because this came out. So it says 2011. I don't think I saw it until 2012 because we were living in we were roommates at this point. Yes. I rented it because I was like, it must have. It's hard to remember time period for this, but regardless, I like rented it or got a copy of it somehow, and sat and watched it in the original language. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Watch it in the original language. And then was like, holy moly, that was good. So I put on the English dub and watched it like again, just straight away. I adore this movie. I legitimately at this point, I think it's a classic. It's tense. It's got awesome action. They do a really great job of setting up the hero and immediately throwing him into conflict. Like, it doesn't take long for the movie to get going, and I love that. Like, the pacing is excellent. The fights are really good. There's a couple little, like, surprises that get thrown in there. And there's a lot of, like, heart and emotion behind the movie, too. And there's a reason that this has... this is, like, seminal as far as, like, you could almost still call it, like, modern action, you know? Just one of the coolest movies out there. So yeah, that is number 9 on the list, The Raid Redemption. And I'd have to think about this a little bit, and I might have mentioned this already. My top 10 on here very much could be considered my top 10. So The Raid is probably in my top 10. But I would have to think about it because there are a few things that are outside of this that I do love. There's like... okay, I think we've talked about this already because Lord of the Rings takes up 1, 2, and 3. I would just consider that 1.
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. Extended.
Yeah. All 3 movies.
Yes. Yeah, I think because the story isn't complete unless... you have them together. And I feel like there's a couple other trilogies on here that I would want to maybe argue is the same way. Like, if I'm going to do like a top 10, I'm going to cheat a little bit and be like, Lord of the Rings is one. It counts as one movie. So that's like, that would just be 1. You know, and then number 2 would be something else because that would give me 2 extra slots, which there's a couple things on here that I would 100% have to move up in there as my top 10. Doesn't, you know, but dude, honestly, the top like 20, I'd probably move a couple things around a little bit, but it's a banger list, man. I just don't want to give it to you until we get close to finishing it so you can kind of see everything. But I did send it to... I will update you as soon as I know, but I did send it to one of the people I work with finally. So he's going to start kind of watching that stuff. So I'm curious what he's going to think of the list when I finally get to talk to him about it. All right, Joseph, do you have anything else that you want to add before we close out tonight?
No, man, that is it.
Awesome. Well, thank you to the Troll Room. Thank you to everyone who showed up and participated, I guess, whatever. We always love when you guys come in. It's always interesting to hear your thoughts on things.
Yes, it is. Even
if you disagree with us, we appreciate you guys being around and chatting. We'll be really, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us for the next few weeks. But stuff will get thrown in here and there. I've got a ton of movies to
like
catch
the
up
list.
on. I'm going to go see Sinners next Tuesday. So I won't talk about it next week, but the week after. That's the Ryan Coogler vampire movie.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know what I think. It's visually it looks good. I just don't the writing. He's away from Disney, so I'm curious. Because I think this. Obviously, you wouldn't consider it his directorial debut, but I think this is one of the first times he's gotten away from a established IP.
Oh,
So
nice.
I am curious to see what he does away from a lot of that stuff. I might be wrong. He might have it. Whatever. If he's done anything else, it was before he did Black Panther. People probably aren't really talking about some of his old stuff.
Right.
Googler. I was going to look him up real quick. So yeah, I'll definitely be talking about that when I finally get to see it.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, he's done a couple. He did has he really only directed 4 movies?
I'm just gonna be watching The Last of Us. I'm probably not gonna be watching anything else.
Nah, you're good.
We'll see though.
No, that's upcoming. So he's got 9 credits.
My wife may throw in a movie on me. Who knows?
Okay, so he did 1, 2, 3, 4 movies before Creed. And then since then he did Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and then Sinners. He's kind of, it's just IMDb, but he's roughly at an average of like a 7-star rating on here. Creed, actually Sinners being his highest rated on IMDb at a 7.7.
Dang.
So I'm gonna be curious because I haven't seen There's only one movie before Creed that I'm actually semi-familiar with, and his 3 movies before that I've never seen. Oh, it's because they're shorts. I'm not really going to count those. But yeah, I'll definitely be at least talking about it a little bit after I finally get to see it. Oh, well, no, hang on. Well, if we're doing the show on Wednesdays now, I'll get to talk about it because I'll go see it next Tuesday. I forgot that we kind of have changed the date. Or the day of the week.
Tuesdays.
We've kind of been.
I guess we have been kind of doing Wednesdays now.
Yeah.
Let's just keep with it then.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's see how it goes. I kind of like it. I don't know what it is about Wednesday, but I just feel better about it.
Let's do Wednesday. Let's meet in the middle.
Cool. All right, Joseph. Well, thank you again for joining me and having this discussion. And I am very curious where this show's headed. See what we got, because I can tell, I was saying before, I know the fates of everyone that they have shown, all of our main characters. I know what happens to them. All those people that were with Abby, if they're who I think they are, I know what happens to every single one of them. And so it's interesting. Also, I let me mention this because I completely forgot until right now. Okay, so the black girl in that opening scene with Abby, she's the actress from Naughty Dog's new game, Interstellar.
Oh.
Okay. Or Intergalactic, sorry. Interstellar's the...
Yeah, I know what you were talking about.
Yeah, she's the main character in Intergalactic, which I was like, interesting. And on that bombshell, Joseph, and to our troll room and everyone who's listening to this on podcast everywhere. Until next time, y'all take it easy.
See ya.